Tried all the rest? Learn from the best. Join WDGLC.com today.
Hey there everybody, it's Defrancesco. Welcome to the website. You see on your screen on the left John Daly. Thanks to Terry Rolls over at San Francisco. I got this off of YouTube. And on the right, Sam Snead. I wanted to start off with this little comparison because I thought it was pretty striking. I was looking for a swing that was past parallel, and I remembered this Snead swing, and I wanted to compare it. You can see Daly's grip. He's famous for his phrase, grip it and rip it. He pretty much gives it a boar knuckler on the left, and the right hand is interesting in that his thumb is way over on the side. It's got a nice big, most players you would see with the thumb and the forefinger forming a seam with the connection up at the top of the joint where you'd form that V, but if you look at Daly's grip, his index finger is well extended down the shaft and his thumb is way over to the side, so kind of interesting, and I think that plays a role. His index finger being so far down, or triggered as you might say, helps him when he takes the club back as far as he does. It helps him feel where the club head is quite a bit. So let's take a look. I just wanted to go with Snead, get him up to the top. You can see in Snead's swing a little kickstart with the hips. You'd probably see a little forward move, but I don't think the film starts until he kicks his hips the other way. But you can definitely see that when the hips are moving and then the upper trunk is moving, but the club head is staying on the ground, so the shaft is bending there. So that's a little different sequence. When you watch Daly, you'll see the arms go forward and tighten up a little bit, and then the hips will kick back. And when you see a swing from behind, his shaft goes well underneath the plane and behind him, and he gets pretty flat at left arm parallel. And Snead does the same thing. Both of them don't cock the club to 90 at left arm parallel. Now the interesting thing here is we have a little tiny bit of right load in both, but you'll see as you get to the top, pretty similar looking positions here. It's pretty classic. If Daly stopped there, now Snead is not going to stop there, so he's going to go there. And if I just get just to the same point where it will match up, look at that.
Learn the pivot compression golf swing. Join WDGLC.com today.
Now, got to remember that Snead had his right foot pulled way back, which accentuated that hip turn. So he looks, in this case, a tiny bit more centered, but pretty striking in the hands and arms, how similar they look. You notice that also Daly has his right foot flared out a little bit, as does Snead. Let's see that. Snead really flared his out a lot. Anyway, just thought that was interesting. Now, of course, at this point, Snead's going to pull it down and with his body, and Daly's going to keep going back. So, one of the sources of power, Daly actually stretches his right shoulder blade all the way back, and with that grip, he can cup his left wrist and let the club lean back on his right forefinger, and when that thing comes down, so now most people do this, can't find the ball when they hit it, or they can't hit it. So, but Daly has proven over the years that the guy can hit the ball And he'll take a wedge back almost this far too. And that's one of the biggest differences between him and Snead. If I show you an iron shot, Snead's swing would be like that, and Daly's would still be way back, which is kind of interesting. See a little more forward head movement for Daly. Now he is hitting a hybrid here, but he's on a tee, so I don't know, hybrids nowadays are probably about as long as the driver Snead's using. You can see Snead, as he was wont to do, aiming, pulling that right foot back, and then as he's hitting the ball, snapping that left leg straight. But pretty interesting. Similar in the finish there, if you put that back here. Anyway, so let's go back to the and we'll look at an iron swing now from behind. So this is where it gets interesting. So other than the huge amount of swing, everything else is pretty classic here. And if you stop the thing there, I mean, you would probably figure he could hit it 300 from there too. He's a pretty strong looking guy. But once he does that and actually finds the ball with all that delay, he can smash it. So let's look at him from behind. We've got a still picture here, so I can draw a few lines. So right away there's that forward press, and there goes the club wrapping along the ground. So as we go to left arm parallel, and these are just places that I like to draw the lines, you'll see that that plane here is at 61 and his shaft is over here at 32, so that's pretty darn flat. Now, immediately, if you look at the nature of that, this is one of those swings where when the hands press and the right arm, upper right arm, stays in, forces the left arm to rotate. Now sometimes the hands go way out. His don't really go way out, but the rotation leaves the club way down by the ground. So as the club stays low to the ground, it gets way under the plane and then behind him. So most people would say, okay, he just took the club way inside. Now he's flat and his right arm is very much pinched in front of him. And here's another thing that is, these things are just fairly commonplace when it comes to swing patterns, is that once you get a certain amount of backswing without the right arm gaining any depth or height, it likes to gain it late in the backswing. So if we watch watch the amount of movement of this elbow here. So that is pretty unique. Couples does that a little bit, but nobody does it like Daly. I mean, his forearm is literally a couple of degrees from parallel to the ground. His upper right arm is way up there. So remember that strong grip and that triggered index finger. So he's got the club up there, and that wrist cup allows him to keep cocking the club back. And that's not even a long swing for him. So now watch this thing come down. This is very interesting. Now, I've showed a lot of times where the hands will come out at the ball, but from this vertical of an arm position and the way the right arm is here, there's no way that club can come out. So the club grip is going to have to come back down, straight down, or even backwards. So if we watch it, you'll note that the first movement is behind him. So if I extended that, it would be to his heels. He's got to get the right arm back down to where he can drive it in front of him. But look how in front of him his hands are. You look at most players, when the left arm is back to parallel to the ground. Now remember where it was in the backswing. So there's the backswing, and there's the return. It's over here. So that's a pretty big difference, especially for a swing that doesn't look like it's looping at all, because the shaft is always leaning back on his hands. So we watch the shaft, it's going to go from where it was crossed and long, and the whole downswing it's going to swing back. Now at left arm parallel, if we draw the shaft down, you'll see it, it's just barely flat of the ball. And then it flattens even more. Now this usually spells trouble, and the club is falling underneath the plane here, or at least underneath where the hands are approaching. And then as he hits the ball, it's very interesting how left his hands will go. But if you remember how bent that right arm is up here at the top, if you pull that thing back there like that and start it down where you have to adjust the shaft, the right arm can't really unbend, so it's coming in on the approach at a super bent high angle. Now that the hands have a real job now to unleash that club and turn that face over. So we're looking at a guy who's got incredible talent and ability with his hands. He pretty much devised a swing. He didn't really like this shot. He devised a swing where he pretty much just took the club and winged it back, and was just happened to be so good at it that he could hit the ball, and at times, well, he won 2 major championships, right? And he always can hit it super far. So again, you look at him from the front, and in the beginning of the swing, it looks totally conventional, other than the grip and that press. But you know that low inside takeaway is pretty much a hallmark of some of the old timers. This is where it gets interesting up here, and the ability to put the club on the ball from there is just, well, you can't teach that, obviously. And guys like Daly, you know, you wouldn't want to unteach that either, because, you know, he turned out to be successful. I got a couple other clips. And one of the things that's always fun to do is watch these swings at regular speed, because anybody this good is going to have awesome tempo and rhythm. You can see it's just so fluid. And you get an idea, even though it's long like that, it's fast and just producing a tremendous amount of speed. That's one of the reasons why these super slow-mo pictures don't really lend themselves to getting a great idea of what the swing is doing at you know, to your eye at full speed. It's nice to analyze, but you know, a good camera is going to film, you know, with good shutter speed, is going to film it at regular speed, and when you slow it down, it's going to look just like this anyway. So I really don't know why guys film so much in super slow. Here's an interesting shot of Daly hitting one off a Coke can. Play that one again. That's pretty funny. You see the ball there, perched up on that Coke can. Now, you try that. See if you can hit that ball off there without moving the can. There you go.
When I drank, I definitely didn't score.
So, as you can see, the difficulty in being consistent with this swing is in the approach angles and the way the hands have to move to square the face consistently, but that's just the nature of it. He's comfortable with what he's doing. And when he comes down, he's got it in good enough position to get the ball to go where he wants to most of the time. And he's had a pretty good career, you know, notwithstanding his tendency to get into trouble. But anyway, there's John Daly.